Well, good afternoon, everybody. Today we're going to be doing a quick and kind of a long-term review of the SCHWALBE, hope I pronounced that right for the millionth time, original Pro 1 tires against the brand new TLE version. Now, I have not tried the brand new TLEs. I'm extremely excited just to give everybody an idea what kind of bike I'm on. I'm on a Trek Madone SLR9 with SRAM E-Tap, Cork Power Meter, and the NV 4.5 rims, which I'll be bringing in a second to give everybody an idea what I'm talking about. So, to give you a brief history of my kind of how I found out about Pro 1 is there's a guy by the name of Jeremy. We both lived together. We were fellow speed skaters in Milwaukee, both master skaters. He was a professional cyclist and also, like I said, a fellow master skater, and he recommended these over any tire. And then after that, I decided to get them. I was in Tucson, Arizona. I believe it was right around 3 years ago when I got the tires. And when I first put them on, it kind of changed my relationship with cycling and also with tires. Now, for years, I was always on the Conti Gator skins. Living in Chicago, you always wanted a good tire, and they were great. Hard, soft to a point, but great. So I tried these out, and I could not believe what they felt like. It literally felt like I was on a different bike, just in a different universe as far as cycling. I went from not enjoying cycling, but enjoying it more just based on the tire and how they felt. So these were originally 28s, and they still are, and they kind of measure out at 31. So compared to these are actually they're actually a little bit smaller, physically smaller tires. So these will actually measure out at a 31, even though they're right around, they're 28, and these are 28, so these will actually fit like true 28s. Now, I actually had one problem with these as far as how they fit on my bike. Being a bigger guy, I'm about 210 pounds, about 9% body fat. I'm a big guy, a lot of muscle on me. And what would happen is the rear tire would actually rub against the frame, actually started rubbing into my frame. And I think I was in Colorado when I noticed this after being in Moab, Utah for 2 weeks. So I'm lucky I did not have a blowout on the bike, but it actually ended up grinding into the side of the tire. I'm sorry, into the side of the frame. So that's something you might want to look out for. So I originally, I think, paid $70 when I first had these, and then I love them. The only problem with them was they tend to cut pretty easily for the most part, in my opinion. I was on a diversity of roads all across the country. Being a tour manager, I travel with my bike all the time, and it just wasn't holding up to what I thought a tire should hold up to. I ended up going to several other tires, and then when I had my bike built up for the Trek Madone, I was pleasantly surprised that the mechanic who built up my bike and I bought it from ended up putting these tires on there, and I was really, really happy. And then when I reordered new tires, he actually sent me these instead, and I was really, really excited about that. So the first thing I noticed about the new tires was three things right away. They were physically smaller, they look better, and the tautness of the actual tire was much different. So if you put your finger here and you put it over here, you can tell right away. It's almost like having a finer sandpaper versus a more coarse sandpaper. I would call this a little bit finer. I would call this a little bit more coarse. And the difference is, I would put it on a scale of 1 to 10, with this being a 1 and this being a 10, I would put it right around maybe like a 50 to a 70% difference just in overall tautness and feel of the tire. Now, it's obviously hard to kind of understand that on YouTube, but when you put your finger on there, you can tell these will corner better, these will do everything better at the end of the day. Now, I've run various types of tire pressure on these, everything from the low 40s and all the way up into the 70s, and I found my happy medium right around between 60 and 70. So let me kind of explain what I'm talking about. So I found an inverse relationship to feel and overall to speed. So the higher I pumped these up, the faster I felt. However, it was beating up my body, especially if I was doing any type of off-roading that day, and I do a lot of off-roading here in the Arizona mountains. So these have been in all types of environments, on rocks, in not snowstorms yet, but I've been in some pretty cold days. They held up fine. Everything was great. But like I said, It's just a great tire overall, but that's what I was running into. Now, I had a couple of nasty cuts on these too. Nothing to the point where I had a blowout, but I have a couple of videos on Instagram that I'm going to try to see if I can integrate into the review and kind of show everybody. Now, I have these tires right now on my NV 4.5 rims, and I'm going to bring it in right now, and hopefully you guys can see what I'm talking about. So, again, this is an NV 4.5 rim. And right over here, if you can see this, this is kind of like from a thorn or maybe like from a bush. I don't think it's affecting the tire per se, but that can kind of run, and I've never had a side blowout, but it just is concerning at the same time. So then right over here too, and then right over here. And then if you can see this over here, these are just some small cut marks. One was an actual hole that I didn't see right away, and you kind of get that the whatever they call it, the sealant that comes on your body. Maybe it's on your knee, or it could be like on your calf muscle. But it pretty much plugs right up. I've never had a problem with that. Now, if you do get a cut in these tires, one of the hacks that I seen from a mechanic over in Jackson, Mississippi, when I was there for the PGA Tour, he basically says all you do is you take Gorilla Tape, make sure it's clean, and you put it on the other side, and that will actually keep it sealed if you want to extend the life of your tire. Now, here is the original packaging. Hold on a second. Here's the original packaging from the Pro 1. It's very basic. I'm a big person on packaging, and I noticed right away when they did the rebranding of the brand new tire, they completely redesigned the package, and it's actually quite nice. It's a German-based company. I love German companies because they make, honestly, some of the best car parts. They make some of the best products in the world. Now, the TPI in this is 127. These are true tubeless tires now. They're saying with the new technology, which is called ADDIX, it's a race compound. It's supposed to be for extreme cornering and basically all types of conditions. And just by the feel of this, I think it's going to be a great tire overall. Now, I'm extremely excited about trying these out. I'm going to do a full review of these tires eventually. Now I want to show you guys something else that I noticed right away too. So these are physically lighter, obviously, because the tires are smaller, but they are lighter in general because I think they're thinner. So when you take this off and you see the interior of this, and if you have these tires at home, I recommend you doing this test because you're going to see right away what I'm talking about. So this is kind of a mess. So these feel a little plasticky compared to this side over here. So these feel thicker. Even though you can tell it's rubber, it's not as pliable, meaning, you know, it kind of bounces back right away. It doesn't give us that subtle like feelness to the tire, kind of like a rounded feel. These feel thinner, but they feel more pliable. You can tell there's a different type of compound in here, like they completely redesigned the tire. So if you look closely here, this almost looks like a lizard skin or maybe like a golf ball. This is more towards a lizard skin, but they feel thinner and the actual width is shorter too. So you're looking at right around, I would say, between 3 to 5 millimeters, more towards 5. So if you want to go to a 30 on these, because they do make these in the 30, so the 28 SCHWALBE Pro 1s, they'll end up measuring right around 31. And then the 28s will maybe measure as true 28. So if you want to go to a 30 and you're pushing it with your rim, just make sure you check your rims first to see if you're going to make that clearance in the back, not necessarily the front. So just by feeling this, you can tell the rubber is completely different. They do feel thinner, like I said, and these are true tubeless now, because I believe the last set were not true tubeless, but they just feel different. And I think I'm going to really like the tires in general. That's pretty much it. I don't know what else to say from the tire. I think it's going to grab well. It's going to climb good. I've never had any issues with these in any type of environment, meaning I've ridden in snow with these. I've ridden in extremely cold weather. I've ridden in 120-degree heat. My only recommendation is if you are in the mountains or in a climate that is very dry, that instead of once every maybe 2 or 3 months that you check your actual sealant level, I recommend checking them every month. And with the weather getting hotter, like 150, 120 degrees, I recommend you checking them maybe every couple of weeks, just in case, and obviously the tire pressure too. So that's my only recommendation as far as that. Now, I don't know how these have gone on thorns. My biggest complaint so far with these was just depending on what was on the road. And like I said, I ride all over the country, literally from the east to the west coast. You know, you can get little pieces of glass in there. I think my worst cut on these was I hit something that came off of the back of a truck. I think it was one of the ties they used for the back door. It completely slit the tire open, but I still had tire pressure. Now, I have had punctures that I go from maybe 70 down to 30, but it's still enough to where I can get back to my hotel or to where I live. Typically, it's a hotel. I did keep an extra tube with me, and in the 2 or 3 years that I rode on these with the extra tube, I never used that tube once. I would just either pump them back up with a small pump, or the last couple times I literally just got an Uber back to my hotel because I thought that was the easiest. So, like I said, just to give you guys a recap, I'm on a Trek Madone SLR 9. That's with SRAM E-Tap, and again with the Envy 4.5 rims. I'll be doing a review on the rims too. So hopefully you guys kind of enjoyed this. This was kind of a mess for me right now. I've tried shooting this, I think, 6 or 7 times, and this might be the best version. And again, this is the TLE. I really like the branding, by the way, of this new tire. I mean, it'll match my bike well. I'm on a black, matte black and red bike, and I just think they look really nice against the rims and everything. Again, these are the Envy 4.5 AR disc rims. He just came out recently too. So let me kind of tell everybody about the setup that I have for shooting. I know a lot of people have been interested in that, so give everybody a quick 1-minute overview. I'm shooting on a Canon EOS R, which is a mirrorless camera in 4K at 24 frames a second. And I notice a huge difference in 4K versus the 1080p I'm shooting on the Canon 80D. I'm also shooting on a 24-105 RF lens, which is great. I just need to get to 15 because of these wider shots. I'm also shooting on a Manfrotto 190 Go with X Pro heads. Those are actually on sale right now over at Manfrotto. I think they're 50% off. And what's nice about this tripod is 2 things. It's carbon fiber, which is great, but with the X Pro head, you could actually take the extension arm and face it straight down. And not many tripods can do that, or you have to have, for example, a completely different setup. I'm also using a 10-pound sandbag just in case. Now for my lighting system, it's been a challenge, but I think I've pretty much gotten it down. So I'm using 2 AL-MX LED lights from Aputure. I'm also using an AL-MW light. So the MX lights are here. The MW light is right here. I'm also using a BOLING PL BLP1 light, and these are right around on 70%, and my ISO is right around 200, so I'm very happy with that. I'm also using an iPad Pro. This is pretty much just to go over what I'm going to be looking at and kind of give me some notes and everything. I'm also using an iPhone 5 SE. That's just so I can see what's on the Canon camera as far as autofocus, turning it on and off, and also my audio levels. I'm also using a Joby 5K. That's on top of a small box for the Canon 80D. That's with a 10-18, just in case I need the shot. Not sure if I will. My backup mic is a Rode Video Mic Pro Plus, and then I'm also shooting on a GoPro Hero 8 and SuperView time-lapse just to see how that looks. I'm not sure how that will work out. And I'm also using a couple of different tripods. For example, one's a RAM, one's a Manfrotto, and one's from a different company. And then for my mic setup, I'm using a toner articulating arm. That's kind of like a podcast type of setup. And then I'm shooting on a Zoom H6 with a stereo mic, which I'm really liking the stereo mic. I'm also testing right now is a Zoom F1 with a lav mic, and I actually like this setup better. I'm also having a pop filter on here. So if anybody has any questions about what I'm doing as far as the video side of this and set everything up, please let me know. Hope you guys have enjoyed this little presentation. I think it went a little too long this time, but any day riding is a good day. Any day shooting is a good day. Go out there, go ride, have some fun. And if you guys have any questions about the tires or what I'm doing, let me know. Have a good day. Stay safe. Bye.